Hey everyone. Diving into the world of special education can feel, well, a little overwhelming, right? There's a lot of terminology, a lot of steps. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify it together. We're going to break down all the key ideas, the rights, the whole process into a really simple, clear guide. It's all about understanding the amazing support system that's there to help every single student thrive.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the big one. What exactly is special education? Then we'll get into your child's core rights. Super important stuff. We'll walk through the whole journey from the first concern to getting evaluated, and then how those all-important education plans get created. After that, we'll see what support looks like in the classroom, and we'll wrap it all up with the homeschool partnership, which is really the glue that holds it all together. All right, section 1. What is special education? Let's start with the big idea behind all the support.
So let's get right to it. What is special education really? I think a lot of us have this image in our heads that it's a specific place, a separate classroom down the hall. But that's one of the biggest myths out there. It's not a place at all. It's actually a service. Think of it as a whole range of supports and instruction that are designed to meet a student exactly where they are. And here's the official definition, but let's break it down. You'll hear it called Exceptional Student Education, or ESE. And what it boils down to is this. It's instruction that is specially designed, like custom built, for a child's unique needs. And this is huge. It's at no cost to parents. That's the law. The whole goal is to level the playing field, to make sure every single kid gets the tools they need to succeed in school. Okay, on to our next section. Your child's core rights. We're talking about the laws that protect and empower. Because this support we're talking about, it isn't just a nice idea or something a school can do. It's a right, guaranteed by powerful federal laws. So let's look at the rulebook. The big one, the cornerstone law you absolutely need to know is IDEA. That stands for the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This is the landmark federal law that makes sure public schools give all the necessary services and support to kids with disabilities who are eligible. And it covers a huge range, from birth all the way up to age 21. It's a really big deal. Now, IDEA isn't just one rule. It's built on a few really powerful principles that all work together. We're going to zoom in on FAPE, LRE, and the IEP in just a second, but there are others too, like procedural safeguards, which are basically rules to protect your rights as a parent, and something called child find, which means schools actually have a duty to go out and find kids who might need help. It's a pretty comprehensive system. Okay, let's talk about FAPE. This is probably the most important promise in all of IDEA. It stands for Free, Appropriate Public Education. Free is easy, right? It means you don't pay for it. But appropriate, that's the key word. It means the education has to be designed specifically for your child's needs in a way that allows them to actually make meaningful progress. It can't just be a one-size-fits-all approach. And the next big principle is LRE, or Least Restrictive Environment. This is so important because it's all about inclusion. What it means is that kids with disabilities should be educated right alongside their peers without disabilities as much as possible. The general education classroom is the starting point, the default setting. A student should only be in a more separate setting if their disability is so significant that they can't learn effectively, even with help, in a regular class. Okay, so we've got these rights in place, but how does it all start? How does a child actually get on this path? Let's move on to our next section, from concern to evaluation. This is really the first step on the journey. It usually begins with a simple concern, and that kicks off a pretty specific process. So this is what that path looks like. And notice, it doesn't just jump straight to testing. That's not step one. First, there's what's called a pre-referral process. The school's team, sometimes called a child study team, will try a bunch of different interventions and strategies right there in the general classroom. If those things don't seem to be enough, then a formal referral for an evaluation is made. And critically, the school needs the parents' consent to move forward. After all the assessments are done, the whole team, including the parents, gets together to decide if the child is eligible for services under IDEA. All right, Section 4, creating the education plan. Once a child is found eligible, it's time to build the blueprint for their success. This is the roadmap for their education. Now, there are actually two main types of plans, and it really just depends on the child's age. For the little ones, from birth to age 3, it's called an IFSP, an Individualized Family Service Plan. Notice the word family in there. It's really focused on supporting the whole family and the child's natural environment, like at home. Then, for school-age kids from 3 to 21, we have the IEP, the Individualized Education Plan. This one is all about their educational goals and what happens in the school setting.
And who actually creates this IEP? Well, it's not done by one person in a back room. It is absolutely a team effort. And look who's on this team. You've got teachers, school administrators, specialists, but I want you to pay close attention to that first one, parents. You, as a parent, are not just a guest at the table. You are a required, essential, equal member of this team. Your input is crucial, and when it's appropriate, the student themselves is part of the team too.
The IEP also has to look to the future. It's not just about this school year. By law, when a student turns 16, their IEP has to include what's called a transition plan. This part is all about planning for life after high school. It sets goals for things like college, a job, or living independently, and then maps out the steps and services needed to help the student get there. So, the plan is in place. Now what? Let's talk about support in the classroom and putting that plan into action. What does this all actually look and feel like for a student day to day? Okay, so under that big federal law, IDEA, there are 13, and only 13, specific categories of disability that a student can be eligible under. But here's the thing. It's a two-part test. A student has to have a disability that fits into one of those 13 categories, and that disability has to negatively impact their performance at school. You need both pieces for eligibility.
And as you can imagine, these 13 categories cover a really wide range of challenges. We've just got a few examples here. You have things like autism, which can affect communication and social skills. You have specific learning disability, which is actually the biggest category. This is where something like dyslexia would fall. Then there are physical challenges, like an orthopedic impairment, or communication disorders, like a speech or language impairment. It's a very broad spectrum.
So, how do we provide that support? A lot of the time, it's through something called accommodations. And this is a really cool concept. An accommodation doesn't change what a student learns, it changes how they learn it. It's about access. So, for example, a presentation accommodation might be getting notes from the lecture. A response one could be saying your answers out loud instead of writing them. Setting could mean taking a test in a quiet room. And scheduling is a common one, like getting extra time on a test. See, it's all about changing the how, not the what.
And that brings us to our last and honestly most important section, the homeschool partnership. Because when it comes right down to it, all the laws, all the plans, all the accommodations in the world, they don't work without this. Collaboration is absolutely key.
I love this quote. Think of parents as equal partners in ensuring that their children are successful in school. This says it all. You're not just a bystander in your child's education. The system is designed for you to be an equal, active partner. No one knows your child better than you do, and that expertise is absolutely priceless in this whole process.
And like any good partnership, this one is built on communication. It really comes down to some basic but powerful principles. Respecting each other's point of view, really listening to understand, and always keeping the focus on the child and their progress. When that trust and open communication is there between home and school, it creates this incredible safety net for a kid to do their best.
So in the end, everything we've talked about today, the laws, the evaluations, the IEPs, it's all designed to answer this one single question. It's a framework, it's a structure, but it only truly comes to life when schools and families work together. When that happens, it's not just about providing an education. It's about unlocking a future. It's about creating a pathway to opportunity for every single student. Thanks so much for joining me.